Set Phasers, a highly illogical Star Trek podcast. Hello, Steph.
Happy Friday.
Happy Friday.
Happy.
It's only 3 days to the winter solstice, and then we can celebrate. Days getting longer. I'm not sure what melody that is.
I like it when people just randomly sing.
Well, that's why we get along so well.
Hark the heralds randomly singing
About Star Trek's latest episode. All right, welcome, whoever's still listening, to Set Phasers, a highly illogical Star Trek podcast. I'm Aki Burmese.
And I am Steph Mans.
And today's star date is 31218.6, and we will be discussing episode 10 of season 3 of Star Trek Discovery, Terra Firma, part 2.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Any initial thoughts about this bonkers episode?
Oh, I loved it. I had so much fun.
So
Did you notice the opening credits were dark?
I did, and inverted.
And, I didn't notice the inversion.
Yes,
I
inverted.
Did see dark.
They were dark. I think they were made blue, like blue tinted and inverted, yeah.
Did they do that the last episode or not? I didn't know.
I don't believe so. They, like I, respect that shift into the mirror universe changes all until we return. As you can see, I have no bow tie on.
Oh, indeed. But
I'm
no
in
t-shirt.
a state of nature. Ugh, it's so informal. And yet, here we are, doing our podcast.
As always.
Forgive me for my casual Friday look. But we remain in the mirror universe, so I guess we should just run it down.
Let's run it down.
Okay.
Nothing? Aki, did you?
I didn't hear it, but you look like you were definitely hearing it.
Okay. Fun
It was.
times.
I felt it through watching you hear it. That was enough for me.
You don't hear that?
Know? No.
Nothing.
I hear you, but not else.
I see. Well, let's continue. Whilst I troubleshoot. Apologies all. There was an OS update this week, which is causing me some issues. So
there was. Sorry.
Please hold. And, that is why. Apologies. We have... I don't know what on earth's going on with this.
Well, listen.
Right. I think I figured it out.
Well, your voice is...
to run it down.
Yeah, there it is.
Can you run it down for me? What just happened? Can you run it down for me?
So sorry.
That's all right. Well, your vocals have improved markedly too. They're hotter.
Yes, that sounds. There were things going on. All of these changes.
No questions. No questions from the Peanut Gallery. I shall proceed. Okay, so Terra Firma Part 2. We begin where Terra Firma Part 1 left off in the mirror universe. And Georgiou has just christened the Charon. Yeah, fine, whatever. Her new castle in the sky, but she knows that Michael is here to betray her. She has just delivered a speech and killed the assassin Stamets who tried to kill her as she spoke, and then people saluted her, and Michael tried to run off, and Georgiou and her compatriots Killy and Owo confronted her, and they said, we know that you have done evil, and Michael said, you have to kill me then, and Georgiou said, I'm not going to kill you. Our future is unwritten. Let's enjoy it. Put her in the agonizer. So, that was the end of last episode. At the beginning of this episode, they throw her in the brig. Hot words are exchanged. And then Georgiou orders Michael into the agonizer. Michael's screaming, wonderfully
Love the agonizer.
evil.
The
Yes,
agonizer.
the agonizer. She's like, I will kill you all. I will kill you all. And then just screaming, just wordless screaming. Although there's one notable thing. I mean, mostly they're just yelling about honor and so on and so forth. But Michael does warn of the coalition, quote, the coalition, which apparently is all the Tellarites and Klingons and Dorians and Romulans coming together to fight the Terran Empire. And I could never really figure out if like that is the group with which she, Mirror, Michael, and Lorca are teaming up, or if they are using that to destabilize the Terran Empire in order to take over. But neither here nor there, because Michael says something about like we should put them on spits. It's very Terran.
Spits? Did you? Oh, spits.
Spits.
Is that what they meant? Spits.
Yeah, I think
Actual
so.
spits.
Yeah, we should roast them on spits. She said something like that. In any case, they throw Michael in the agonizer. She starts screaming. Georgiou has a quick meeting with Captain Killy. And Killy's like, why is Michael still breathing air on my ship? And Georgiou says, oh, a fair question. She is a traitor and should have been executed, but I'm going to bring Michael back into the fold, and you are the most feared interrogator in the Terran fleet. So she gives Captain Killy free reign to break Michael Burnham and bring her back into the fold so they can root out all the other conspirators. And that's when we go to the credits, which are blue and inverted. I believe they're upside down and left to right altered. So that's why I'm not wearing a bow tie. Anyway, that happens. And so then it's Michael being offered food in her cell, which he cavalierly smashes with her hand into the wall. She's like, I'm not going to eat. And Tilly's like, fine, I didn't think you'd be hungry. In any case, we'll have Culber force feed you soon enough. And then they throw Michael into the agonizer. Prepare yourself for a bit of profanity, because right before Tilly hits the switch, Michael says, rot in hell, bitch. And my favorite face.
Killy's loving that agonizer.
Killy's face, the face that she made, is probably my favorite face she's ever made. She makes like a
She has a wee smirk.
a little sad face. Me, rotten hell, and then hits the agonizer. And Michael screams in terror, thus beginning a montage. Do, 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 do. It's Michael getting tortured. It's Michael refusing food. It's Georgiou with a voiceover. And Michael's getting paler. I'm going to do some high kicks. Yeah. Yes.
I thought you were going to do like a musical with your keyboard.
Yeah. Well, my name is Captain Killy, and I'm here to torture you. No, but I wish I had thought of that. Did you mention it? So anyway, it's a montage of Michael going into the agonizer, coming out of the agonizer, being offered less and less food. Like there's slightly less food on the second plate, and then the third plate's just a bun, and like then there's one that's just an apple. And Georgiou's got this voiceover where she's like talking to Michael, but it's unclear what exactly is going on. At some point, Detmer arrives, who is Michael's, right-hand man, and she said, and even though Michael says they're listening, Detmer says, I know, but she says, you got to stay alive. You're the best of us. You've got to give in, get yourself out of there. You can't die.
Yep.
And Michael seems undecided. But Detmer does tell her that Lorca is still in the wind and he's probably not coming to save Michael or to meet her again. And remember that in the mirror universe, Michael and Lorca are in love. They're in love. Ooh, Lorca. Doesn't quite have the same.
Oh, I have my love. Where's my...
Hey, sit down. Have a fortune cookie. I'm hot. So, what we find out with the end of the voiceover is that it's Georgiou speaking to the unconscious Michael as she lies on her sleeping slab in the brig. And she basically says, like, Michael can change because she has changed. She tells a story of how Michael, when she was a child, used to have night terrors. And Georgiou would have to hold her down, but then eventually would let her go and walk with her as she somnambulated out into a field of fireflies. And she would stay there until she calmed down and then go back to bed. And Georgiou has this memory of sort of being a mother to Michael, and she has one poignant line in which she says, I was sorry when the night terror stopped. And then looking down on Michael, she says, perhaps they never did. But in any case, she says, all I wanted to do was share ruling the empire with you. And she leaves a jar of fireflies by Michael's head on the slab. Once Georgiou retreats, Michael wakes, sees the fireflies, gets up into a resigned position, reaches down and picks up a single slice of bread, that's all she's being offered at that point, and begins to eat it. So in the next scene, a reformed Michael approaches in the throne room, approaches Georgiou, gets down on her knees, apologizes, says that she's ready to come back into the fold. Georgiou dismisses everybody and says, okay, you don't have to apologize to me, you have to prove yourself to our followers. And so I want you to go get Detmer, and in order to redeem yourselves, you're going to go hunt down all the conspirators who worked with you and kill them. And don't return until you have succeeded. Right? So then we get another sweet, it's almost like montage. It really is just Michael and Detmer killing Landry, but in an elaborate and spectacular fashion. And so when Landry dies, I guess we get the impression that they chased down all these other conspirators, and that's basically the case. And so the next time we see them, Detmer and Michael are walking into the ready room, I guess, where Georgiou and Owo and Killy are having drinks, perhaps a light lunch, and Michael presents Landry's badge and the badges of all the others who were part of her conspiracy. And looking at Detmer and Michael, Georgiou says, is it done? And Michael says, it's done. And then Georgiou looks at Michael and says, Michael? And then Michael kills Detmer, the last person who was a co-conspirator. And so
The last conspirator.
the last conspirator.
Or so we think.
Or so we thought. But I guess that seals the deal for Georgiou, who's really, throughout this whole thing, is like really trying to repair her relationship with Michael, because it seems like, she knows she's dying. And I don't think she thinks that she's not dying at any point during this. So she's trying to prepare the Empire and Michael to rule it in a way that is better than simply by an iron fist, because she doesn't want Michael to die, pointlessly. So the next scene is Georgiou and Michael dining, and we find out that some things have changed under the Emperor's watch. For example, Kelpians are no longer on the menu. And in order to sabotage the coalition, instead of crushing them with martial might, Georgiou used back channels to undermine their trust of each other and cause the coalition to sort of collapse. But Georgiou is wondering if Michael still loves Lorca. She's like, do you know where Lorca is? And Michael doesn't know. She says, do you still love him? And Michael says, he never came for me. And Georgiou's like, well, that's not really an answer to the question. And Michael gives her another non-answer and basically saying, when I see him, I will be able to kill him. Right? And they're like, well, we need to find Lorca. And Michael says, well, he has a secret name for when he's doing his espionage stuff. He goes by the name of Vicar. So they begin to peruse the galaxy for messages to this Vicar. And in the meantime, Georgiou and her Kelpian, who is Saru, but who isn't Saru, I guess, because he probably was never given a name because he was like a slave food, basically. They have a little discussion, and Saru's sort of like, are you troubled? And she's like, no, everything is unfolding as I want. I've only ever wanted to rule with Michael. And she says, you're going to stay with me instead of going back into her service. And Saru says, well, I wish I could, but the Vaharai is upon me, and I will have to leave you. And so Georgiou explains, quote, the Vaharai is not an end. Tells him to lock himself away and wait a few days, and when he comes out on the other side, he will see that he is changed forever. She encourages him that despite the fact that his sister and his parents were all culled, that the way to avenge them is to pass through the Vaharai. So while he's doing that, she's saying she's going to make the Terran universe what it should be, and that's how she thinks she will survive. And then we're on the bridge. Things are moving fast.
Oh, yeah.
We find out this all takes place over the course of 3 months, but essentially they find a coded message being sent to Vicar. It's from someone named Duggan, who apparently works for Lorca, and it's being sent from the planet Ryza, the pleasure planet of Ryza, which I don't know if it's a pleasure planet in the Mirror Universe. Maybe it's the opposite. A torture planet.
Planet of pain.
Ooh, the
Planet of pain.
All right. Oh boy.
Sorry, I got
No,
carried
it's all
away
right.
with that.
So did I.
Yeah.
So they go at maximum warp to intercept this vessel. Point of order. Guess who's on the bridge? None other than non-cybernetic Commander Arium. So we briefly get to see Commander Arium in her Terran uniform at her post doing her thing, which is cool. It's Tilly's ship, so Tilly orders the maximum warp with so much attitude. And they get there, they find Duggan's ship, they disable it, they ask him where Lorca is, he won't respond, he says making new friends, he says that the Klingons and the Romulans are going to join together, and then he says the Emperor is going to go down sooner than she thinks, so they destroy his ship and beam him directly to the brig, and Michael and Georgiou go to meet him, and Michael says, bring the honor guard, and she says, bring me Culber. And did you see Culber's red suit this time? Did you notice?
I did.
Sleek red. It's like blood
It's
red.
fancy.
Very
Defo fancy.
Defo fans. They get there. Duggan is very, I guess, what's the word I want to say? Crude and impolite with the Emperor. It doesn't matter because he says to the Emperor, you shouldn't trust Michael. And Michael says, oh, you can trust me. And then she shoots and kills Duggan. She says, if I want you to. And then she and Culber and Arium turn their guns on Georgiou. So it was all a ruse. Michael was not reformed. No, instead, she intended to exact her revenge and take over the Empire for herself. She says there's only one way to rule, even though Georgiou makes a plea. She says, I found a new way to rule. She says, there's only an iron fist and there is death. And then Michael says, you never should have trusted me. And Georgiou responds, I never did. And in bursts Saru and another Kelpian, and Owo,
pew, pew.
and Killy, and pew pew pew, and slash slash slash, and bang bang bang, 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 choo 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 choo. Michael and Georgiou jump into the cell behind the force field and start fighting with daggers and swords, right? And in the meantime, there is a much killing that goes on. I have written here.
Everyone does.
Saru kills Culber. Killy kills Arium. Owo kills Reese. Everybody dies. Meanwhile, Michael and Georgiou are fighting. We're talking. And Georgiou is trying to convince Michael that there is another way. But Michael says, this is who I've always been. And that Georgiou above anyone else should know that because Georgiou is who made Michael what she was. And then Georgiou kills Michael. So that happens. But Georgiou has also been mortally wounded. She's been mortally wounded by Michael. Stabbed through the shoulder into the lung maybe or something. I don't know. She's bleeding out slow, but she's bleeding. Yeah, she rips
Thank
it
you,
out.
James Mason.
Thank you.
Thank you, James Mason.
Emperor. You've been mortally wounded, Emperor. Okay. I don't know why I'm making him so slobbery. Emperor, you have been mortally wounded, Emperor. Okay, so
Now we're verging on Hunchback of Notre Dame.
we are getting a little, it's getting a little weird. So, Saru runs in and he like is mourning that Georgiou is about to die, and Georgiou sees him and says, "Oh, you passed through the Vihari," and Saru says, "I passed through," and then Georgiou's voice echoes, "You passed through, you passed through," and then suddenly we are back on the snow planet, and Carl is saying, "She passed through." Because Georgiou went through the door and she's just on the other side of this stupid door on the ground in the snow. And Carl says in his typical quippy fashion, "You see, that's what you do with doors. You pass through them." Well, Carl. I'm just going to put my bow tie on because we're back in the Prime universe and things feel... Oh, look. Somebody left a bow tie right here next to me. As
Oh,
if they
which one?
knew.
Oh, I
Yeah,
like
little
it. It's on
candy
it's pink
stripe.
and striper.
Yes, thank
Pink and
you.
striper, candy striper.
Candy striper. So to Michael, it seems like Georgiou hasn't left at all. That she was unconscious for under a minute. But when they consult her wristband given to her pointedly by Dr. Culber in order to monitor her, they find out that there are 3 months of biodata points in it. So, what is truly going on? And then they both look up at Carl and say, "Who are you really?" And he says, "I am the guardian of forever, forever, forever,
Ever, 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 ever.
forever, ever." Yes.
Forever, ever.
Oh, that feels good.
That's a beautiful bow tie. Good job.
Thank you. So
Nerd.
I think I told myself to Google this, but I didn't. But I believe the Guardian of Forever is from the original series.
He
Or
is,
it's something
yes.
like that. It is, okay.
he is.
I couldn't
Yeah.
remember if it was like the Guardian of Tomorrow. Yes. So,
OG.
OG, the Guardian of
OG
Forever. And it's like a time portal. Let's go back in time and fool around and stuff. But we can't spend too much time there. I guess we can. Why don't we finish the storyline before we jump to the other minutia? Basically, the Guardian explains that, like, yeah, he is a portal, a time portal, essentially, and basically just hangs out and allows people to go back in time. And he's like, hey, go back in time and do whatever. Just don't screw things up or clean up your own mess. But apparently during the Temporal War, people were killing each other in the past, and they were using him to get through the past into the future. So he's been in hiding. So no one knows his location. However, the sphere data mixed with the relevant information from the modern Federation was able to suss it out. So the sphere data knew where the Guardian of Forever was. And he also explains that Georgiou was sent through not to cure her because she's still suffering those weird attacks, but rather to be weighed. That is, to find out whether she had been changed or learned anything from her time not in the mirror universe, if there was a reason to save her, essentially. And even though she failed and killed Michael again, and the Empire probably was going to crumble into ruin and internecine warfare, he says, you know, you tried, which is important, and also you saved a Kelpian, and he says that Kelpian will help a lot of other people. And so he explains that Georgiou's a tough one to figure out where to send her because she can be so dangerous, but he's got an idea. He's going to send her back to a time, eyebrow movement, when the Prime and Mirror universes are more in sync. And then he leaves and he says, you can go through the portal anytime you choose. Just step through. So Michael and Georgiou say their goodbyes. You know, they affirm their affection for one another. There's a hug. There are tears. They exchange words. I believe at one point Michael says, you are my Georgiou, or rather, what I feel for you is yours alone. And Georgiou says, I wish I had known that. And then Georgiou says, hey, you have always been far more than you imagined, Michael. Basically telling her that Saru's done a great job as captain, but he's not the only one who deserves to be the captain of a starship. And then Georgiou steps through the time portal and is gone. The other part of the story, the teeny weensy peensy part of the story, I don't know, that takes place upon Discovery is that Adira and Stamets are still trying to figure out how to get information from the ship. Apparently they have the access codes, but they can't get any information because of maybe the distortion in the field. And they're arguing about it, and Stamets is starting is allocating more power to their signal so they can try to get more information, which upsets Reno, who storms into the lab eating a like black raspberry Twizzler or something like that. I don't know. It was great. And
It's a
Reno's
nice little
like,
cameo, as we know that she's not
exactly
a series regular.
well, yeah. I think in an interview I read that she's a series regular starting season 4.
Oh, really? I thought she didn't want to be. I thought that was the whole conversation about her not wanting to be.
I thought that I read that or heard that in an interview. That
I sent you an interview. She didn't want to be.
But was that as recent
She's
as
a series regular, but she didn't want to recur every like.
Oh, she's a series regular, but she's not a recurring character. She's not like a main character. Yes. Yeah. Okay, great. We're in agreement. Ugh. Okay, so there is an argument happening there, and then they sort of explain what they're trying to do to Reno, who seems interested, but they also don't know how they're going to do it. And then in comes, cue up my slow jam, would you please?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Hi, I'm Buck. I've read the entire field manual and also the tech manual, and I realized you guys don't know you can amplify your subspace signals. Well, we have range extenders. It's emerald chain technology, and I'm about to hook you up. Oh, yeah. Okay,
That's so well timed. Good job.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, so Book shows up and he's like, hey, here's this technology that couriers use as part of the Emerald Chain, and it allows you to amplify signals within subspace, and allows them to start downloading information from the ship. And then, all that stuff is happening down on the planet with Georgiou, but back on Disco, they finally contact Vance, because remember, Saru was like, let's not contact until we have any information. So Saru, Vance, and Book are talking, and they're sharing the information, but Vance seems a bit upset that they're using Emerald Chain technology, because it seems dangerous. Seems like it could be, kind of dangerous for their one sort of ace in the hole to possibly be infiltrated by Emerald Chain technology. But Book assures him that it is safe and that he checked before he used it on his own ship. And then Book finds out that Michael's coming back alone, so he takes off. And Vance kind of hammers on Saru for not telling him information. He says, hey, if you're not focused, you just need to let me know. And Saru says, no, that's not what it was, sir. I just wanted to wait till we had info. And so Vance gives him the go-ahead to keep using the Emerald Chain technology, but to notify him as soon as any information comes to light about the ship stuck in the nebula. Some quick final scenes. Michael returns, embraces Book. She goes to visit Saru. Saru's like, is she dead? And Michael's like, He's like, so she's not coming back? And she's like, yeah. And so Saru says she is deceased. And if you wouldn't mind playing Faith of the Heart.
Yay.
Emperor Georgiou, you were very mean. But as we saw in that final scene, everyone kind of loved you for it. You definitely got away with it because you did it with so much style. Also, you were like a mother/sister to Michael, who really needed guidance because she was all over the place. Am I right?
You're right.
Yeah. And also, you probably helped Tilly harden up. So, Emperor Philippa Georgiou, with all the other names, you had faith of the heart. All right. Well, and then in the final scene, they have a wake and everyone toasts Georgiou and tells stories about her. The end.
Woo! That was a bit loud, sorry.
Yeah, that's right. You got so enthusiastic. Oh. Okay. So, I mean, I don't have any real crazy theories right now because we kind of delved
All wraps up quite nicely, doesn't it?
Lorca didn't show up, which is kind of heartbreaking, but whatever.
Did you expect him to? You were
kind of
hopeful,
hoping
I
to
think.
see him or something. I don't know. I guess the fact that he's still in the wind means that he could show up in something somewhere down the line. But at the very least, we now have our lead into the Georgiou-verse. If they want to do that Section 31 business, they've set it all up.
Yes, because I was wondering how they were going to do that, because they obviously have to get her out of the future back to the past.
Yeah.
But then she's now in the mirror universe, or is she now in the prime universe? Where'd she go?
Well, we don't know.
I guess that's how Section 31 is going to start.
He did say, she was like, I don't want to go back to the mirror universe. And he said, who said anything about the mirror universe? I'm just going to send you back to a time when the universes were closer. So presumably he's sending her back to Section 31 it up. Maybe I had a couple, I guess I said no crazy theories and then immediately came up with the crazy theory just standing here that maybe they will What are you looking for?
I'm looking for tinfoil time. Did you send it to me?
No, I never sent it to you.
Oh! I thought you did. Aki!
That was too loud. I'm so sorry.
A little bit? Jesus!
It really shouldn't have been that loud.
Blew my fucking
Set that
ears
sound
off.
off to work better. Why
Can
is
you
it so
just
loud?
send that to me as a sound effect so I can protect my ears and the ears of our listeners?
I guess so. I just need to record it. Anyway,
Jeez-o.
tin foil time. It's never done that before.
Don't do it again.
I'm not going to do it again. I want to know what went wrong. Okay, so I'll wait till we're
technical
done.
issues tonight, people. We're so sorry.
Well, everything's gone
Whew.
wrong.
It's the show that goes wrong.
Hey.
Aki and I have a thing. We like that. There's a TV show called is it the show or the play that goes wrong? What's the TV show?
The show is the one that's called The Show That Goes
Show That
Wrong,
Goes
I
Wrong.
think. Or The Gone
Yeah, it's on
Goes
Amazon.
Wrong
It's
show.
on Amazon
whatever.
Prime.
It's on Amazon Prime. Please check it out.
There's lots of British voices that
So
Aki
many
likes to
British
imitate.
voices. Yeah, so I can imitate them later.
Yes.
So I can imitate them later, can't I? Okay, so I just thought that maybe if they really wanted to get crazy, they could send Georgiou back to like Picard season 2 time. Because Section 31. Wow, we are nailing it today. Oh, Steph had to go off screen, so I'm going to test that thing out again. Don't tell her. Probably still too loud. I don't know.
Hello.
You know what? It's the time of year when everything is not what you expected it to be.
And my heating goes off.
And there goes the heater.
Wonderful.
Okay. The point, what I was saying was that they had that whole Section 31 thing in season 1 of Picard. And I think the Romulan who was there died. Whew. I feel bad for Steph because you guys have to know something. I'm completely irresponsible. All I do is watch the show and then talk about it. I mean, I take notes, but Steph does everything, and now she's got to deal with this. So, sorry, Steph. Yeah, everything. You know, seeing Steph in this situation has nothing to do with Star Trek, but it does make me remember a line from Shakespeare. Hamlet, towards the end of the play, as he sees Fortinbras marching on, where is he from again? Daneland?
Who, Shakespeare?
Denmark? Yeah.
Hamlet.
Hamlet, yes. Denmark. He sees Fortinbras. Are you just saying words that I'm saying? What is going on? Anyway, yeah, Steph is really going through it. If you're watching live, Steph is doing it's like Charlie Chaplin over here. Talk about old Stoneface. That's not Chaplin, but also a silent movie star. Anyway, Hamlet says as he sees Fortinbras marching on the castle, "Oh, how all occasions do inform against me." And that's what I feel like Steph is going through right now.
What?
I should have
conflated poured more wine
to Mr. Hamlet.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm sure I could find someone else.
The point
why
clearly the government doesn't want us to make is that Georgiou could go back to season 2 Picard times because of the Section 31 crossover. And that would she'd be like a pretty good person to take over after that recent they had that whole thing where they were anti-Picard or whatever, right? Didn't they have a whole Section 31 gone rogue infiltration part of Picard season 1? And so maybe they could bring Georgiou back to sort of take over Section 31, or maybe she comes back.
I don't remember. Did they? We need to rewatch that. That could be the thing we do after Discovery.
It might be. I play the piano, but it's probably too loud.
Don't test me.
Nope, I will not test you.
Thank you.
So anyway, that's that's the crazy theory I just came up with. I don't know how crazy that is, but maybe if we rewatch Picard episode for episode, we'll see some clues. So anyway, should we move on to quotable moments?
Yes. Now,
Yes.
before we started, I forgot to plug in my thing, so my little quick keys. So now I'm having to find my quotable moments, and here it is.
Quotable moments.
It shall all be edited beautifully come Monday.
I have no doubt of that. Also, worth the wait. Do you have any quotes that you would like to share? I have a couple.
Well, I didn't catch the whole thing, but because I think just accents and whatever. But the quote that I liked was Georgiou saying, something about every parent. Why won't they just listen?
Oh, wonderful. I wrote that one down because it's so good. Yes. Also, what a great tie-in. I didn't even think about this because no one's going to be excited about it, but you should edit all of this out. I don't want to give you more work, but this ties into Hamlet, and I'll tell no one why after the show. But Georgiou says, the orison of every parent, Michael, as I'd hoped you'd... Oh, this is the orison of every parent, Michael, as I hoped you would learn someday. Why can't they just believe what I say? Why do they only learn from pain?
That was it. Orison?
Orison, yeah. It's like
What's that?
prayer, a song of prayer, a lament, a
That's
beseeching
because
of
I was like,
the
what
gods.
is an orison? I was like, orzo's rice.
Yeah,
So-
it is the it is the risotto of every parent, Michael, as I hoped you'd learn one day. Anyway, there's a whole thing about orisons in Hamlet and people to be or not to be and all that business. And, that applies. Anyway, I also love that quote. That was pretty dope. I also enjoyed the quote Georgiou says to Saru when he finds out about the Vaharai. She says, survive, that is how you honor them. Teach others what you know. That is how you avenge them. And then, yeah, right? Pretty slick. And then finally, a little bit of equipuary from Carl. When Michael says, I thought you said going through the door would help her. Carl responds, you can't just live in doorways. I don't know. That seemed profound.
Yes, it does. That is rather profound.
It's something I might wind up saying to everyone all the time forever now. But that's all I've got for quotable moments.
I think that was plenty.
I'm in rare form today. We're
both having such a good night.
Oh gosh, we're just nailing it.
We're just nailing it, like
Up and down, back.
smooth
Oh
as sandpaper tonight.
We're
quite
like
honestly.
experienced podcasters doing what they do best.
At home with
At
this
home.
is what happens working
Yeah.
from home. We
Yeah.
have to manage various things.
A peek behind the curtain, dear watchers. Okay.
I need some gin after this. I think.
Yes,
that was,
I know.
this is very
Let's
stressful.
wrap this whole thing up. It's about
let's
time.
wrap
Yeah.
this puppy up. Is it time for next time?
It is time for next time.
Next time on Set Phasers.
Yes, we're in the home stretch of the season. Not even the home stretch. It's like running from third to home. I guess that's the home stretch. The point is, the next episode we're watching is episode 11, which is entitled Mysteriously the Citadel. And all that we saw in the next time on Star Trek Discovery was that looks like Michael and Culber and I forget who the third person is go down to a planet to figure out what's going on with the ship that's stuck in that nebula, and they maybe get left behind because the chain shows up and they're going to die of radiation poisoning. So it's a pretty laid back episode is what my guess is.
Totes.
Yeah, should
Sounds
be pretty
like it.
easy. Yeah, so we'll be here next week. No matter what holiday you celebrate, we celebrate Star Trek Discovery. So thank you for joining us. If you enjoyed the program, you can catch us every Friday at 8 p.m. Eastern on Facebook Live, or as a podcast, which is put up every Monday wherever you get your podcast from. And please subscribe.
Yes, please do. And give us
us.
a rating. We would love to hear what you think of the show. We are, of course, on Facebook and Instagram at Set Phasers Podcast, so feel free to follow us and join in the conversation of all things Trek.
All things Trek. And if you want to support us on our continuing mission to discover what Discovery has in store for us, you can patronize us. We can take it by going to patreon.com/setphasers.
Wow. Arky, I think it's time.
Yeah.
Let's wrap this puppy up.
Okay.
Computer, end program.
No.
Yes.